It's been 2 years since we released our most popular video about the possibilities Alex Hirsch set into motion for all the modern cartoons to have a gigantic crossover event just as big, if not bigger, than Who Framed Roger Rabbit. A year ago, we followed this up with a far more in-depth analysis on how Gravity Falls, The Owl House, and Amphibia could all come together for a crossover movie or series. This in turn kicked off a year-long campaign where we tried to raise awareness for the connected cartoon universe, and we were joined by other passionate fans of these shows in finding the many connections between them and exploring the storytelling opportunities Disney could enjoy with this potential crossover. And my thanks to everyone who joined us on this endeavor over at Twitter. Y'all rock! Our year-long campaign has wrapped, with literally thousands of posts and a few follow-up videos from ourselves and from other channels, but the time has come to determine once and for all if a crossover between Gravity Falls, Amphibia, and The Owl House is possible. The answer is both encouraging and disheartening. Canonically, yes! All three shows are linked and are meant to eventually cross over in a special story. Unfortunately, Disney will not let this happen anytime soon, if ever. To break down what I mean about this, we've got to talk lore, world building, storytelling, writer's room mentalities, history, Disney, and business. Oh yeah, there's so much to cover, so don't click away from all of this. We're going to cover everything here. Let's jump into this by tackling all the canonical connections between Disney's standout cartoons that make a crossover canonically possible, meaning that it's in these shows' very DNA for them to come together and tell an awesome story. First of all, Alex and Dana already planned a crossover between their stories, with Ida Clawthorne being Grunkle Stan's ex-wife, the gal he met in Las Vegas, got married to, and then she ran out on him and stole his car. He still kind of pines after her, though, if you know what I mean.
My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better.
We then see in Gravity Falls' Lost Legends that Ida is wanted in the crawl space. Plus, she was on some kind of adventure in the crawl space at the exact same time that Dipper and Pacifica were there, because Albert had been stolen from Ida and is with a bundle of magic staffs. And it makes sense that she would go to the crawl space in the first place to retrieve strange human goods, since, well, that's what she sells at the market back in Bonesboro.
Why would I eat a potential customer?
One of the biggest and most obvious crossover moments, though, was, of course, the Wax Museum, an entire episode dedicated to an alternate Grunkle Stan before he met Dipper and Mabel. And yeah, it's absolutely great, with everything we could ever want with a crossover. This was just Matt Brawley having tons of fun, with Alex Hirsch saying, "This is what we could do. Just come on, Disney, give us a chance, give us a go at it." And there was also a code reading that there is a Zeus in every dimension, verifying what Ford wrote about alternate dimensions back in Journal 3.
Say, Mr. Pons, do you ever get the feeling that we exist simultaneously in multiple parallel universes, completely unaware of the other's very existence?
Another fun connection between Amphibia and Gravity Falls is that Ned wears a Romance Academy shirt, showing that Anne's Earth has the same game that Seuss played and met Giffany through in Seuss and the Real Girl.
Every time you compliment me, I get another highlight in my eyes.
You're pretty. And pixely. And so agreeable.
Anne and her family also have a Grunkle Stan bobblehead doll in their house, making it clear that her Earth is the same Earth as the one that we see in Gravity Falls. And this planet is the same as Luz's homeworld, Earth, because we see an article about Anne being read by Camilla on the same night that Luz and the others are marooned back on the planets. Stanford wrote about the Boiling Isles in the journals, and we get a glimpse of it during Dipper's adventure into the crawl space, and Andreas's book depicting the various worlds that the Newts were anciently able to connect to, vis-a-vis the Calamity Box, indicates not only Earth, but the Boiling Isles. This is confirmed by Collector explaining his history of meeting the Titans, and we get to see what is effectively a magical satellite image of the Boiling Isles. His projection is identical to what Andreas's book shows. And let's not forget Dr. Frakes' portal that opens to the Boiling Isles and takes a fuzzy picture of the Owl House. And of course, there is the very important detail of Bill Cipher being present in all 3 shows. Wherever his icon appears, he can look into the space and exert a modicum of influence. And even though Stanford defeated Bill, his final spell means that this wasn't the end for him. There's so much more that could be at play here.
Hey, XOLOTL! My time has come to burn! I invoke the ancient power that I may return!
And this is to say nothing of the many other Easter eggs between all of these shows, with a Titan Trapper suit of armor for Anne, a Sprig plush on Hunter's bed, Bill Cipher in Dr. P's journal, which also detailed the Calamity Box, which was very fatefully put in Marcy's way, by the way. Another Calamity Box in Ida's basement, Dipper's hat on display, one of Ford's journals in the Wartwood Library, a clock that looks suspiciously like Bill Cipher's icon, along with the mention from Maddie that she's missing a device of incredible power that could threaten everyone. And of all these connections, have you shaking your head? I will remind you that Matt and Dana did a crossover event at Comic-Con to drum up excitement for both shows and for the concept of crossing them over, winning a lot of fan support for the idea in the process. Matt even said in an interview and in a response to a fan's letter that he has many more Amphibia stories to share and that he hopes to do that through a crossover event that would even include Gravity Falls. When you have this much evidence to work with, this goes far beyond any sort of homage or Easter eggs, but it is a genuine world-building thing that the different creators are doing. They are crafting a potential story to tell down the road, and many creators and friends within the film, television, and comic book industries have done this before. This is nothing new. In fact, all these background clues and details all but demand a crossover between these 3 stories. And it only makes sense that this would happen. When you have a bunch of friends writing stories together in the same room, they will inevitably start playing around with crossing the streams and letting their stories merge and reference each other in one way or another. And Matt is possessed by a grand cartoon vision that could be absolutely incredible and singular in the world of cartoon storytelling.
If we're gonna play Owl House, we're gonna need an Owl House!
However, the sad fact is that it will probably never happen.
God, hot Belgian waffles! Wait, I'm alone. I can swear for real! Son of a...
Yes, admittedly, fan support for the connected cartoon universe, as we've been calling it, has waned since the Owl House ended with no obvious hint for a crossover. Matt Brawley has said, other than making a graphic novel for Amphibia, that there are no new plans for his show, and Dana has walked away from Disney. Alex burned the House of Mouse after his NDA was up, and there is a writer's strike currently underway that is shoving projects back for years. Now, these road bumps could be easily overcome if Disney was willing to put in the effort to make amends, put up the money, and engage these creators in a positive, creative way to make this crossover happen. In fact, this would be incredibly beneficial for them, not only monetarily, but to win back a ton of goodwill from Disney fans that they've been bleeding out in recent years. It would also be a chance for Disney to again corner the merchandising market and make a killing. But again, none of this is likely to happen because Disney has not only tarnished their legacy, but they have forgotten how to run a profitable entertainment and animation business. And this is where we have to do some history and business talk. It's been clear since the mid-2000s that Disney has no longer cared for their animated projects. Even though brilliant movies like Treasure Planet and Atlantis were produced, Disney purposefully tripped them up and let them die on the vine as they plotted to transition to 3D animation. Their shows became lackluster in favor for live-action shows that burned brightly until the child actors were drained for all they were worth. And this is rather remarkable to consider, because shows like Phineas and Ferb and Incapable were absolute hallmarks for so many people's childhoods and their entertainment experiences. But Disney never threw the full support behind these shows that they deserved, merchandising them in order to make more profit and make these properties true landmarks in their audience's personal lives and in the culture of that time. But the truth is that Disney was just letting these bits of content get created to fill time slots on their channels, because they needed to do it. When Gravity Falls rolled around, the show was absolutely disrespected and underutilized by Disney. Gravity Falls is as popular as it is and as successful as it is and was because of the fans and the creators' own passion. But again, it was clear that Disney was dragging its feet wherever Gravity Falls was concerned. The small bits of merchandise that they created for the show sold wonderfully. They sold out instantly. But the House of Mouse was instead chasing billions and could not be trifled with hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of profit because they wanted those whales. They wanted that vein of gold. Disney's leadership under Bob Iger, then Bob Chapek, and then Iger again, has been focused on making billions of dollars. Resources and care were spent on movies and park attractions that could line Mickey's pocket with gold, and everything else was just a miserable afterthought. Though, if something could win them social brownie points, well, that was fine, at least for a small bit. That is why the Owl House was greenlit, to win brownie points on social media for being so progressive. And then it was Bob Iger who gave the show the axe after greenlighting it in order to conserve resources. And now shows are just made to fill out time slots, not just for Disney-owned channels, but to fill brackets on Disney Plus, where they make so little in return that Disney has actually lost $12 billion on their streaming service alone. Yes, you heard me right about that. $12 billion. And that is why the House of Mouse is highly unlikely to let Matt create his epic crossover event for Gravity Falls, Amphibia, and the Owl House. Not only does Disney not respect their own animation anymore, and they just create content to fill in slots, but they are so strapped for cash at the moment that they are screwed. To give you an idea of just how bad Bob Iger and Disney have messed up, here are some things to consider further. Not only has Disney lost $12 billion on Disney Plus since launching it, but they have lost another $1 billion on all of their movies in the past year and a half. Next, Disney is so bereft of creative talent and vision that they squandered all of their $4 billion plus acquisition of Lucasfilm. Despite their sequel trilogy making over $1 billion gross at the box office, half of that was eaten up by the movie theaters. So therefore, half of Disney's net earnings were then devoured by the production costs. None of their Disney shows have made any money because Disney Plus, again, has lost them $12 billion. Remember that! And when it comes to toy licensing, toy manufacturers are reporting a steep decline in toy sales, meaning that Disney has made, hopefully, around $1 billion in toy sales for everything Lucasfilm. That means that they are around $2 billion still in the hole for purchasing George Lucas's company. And now even more so because Willow lost the money and the Dial of Destiny is going to lose them hundreds of millions more. Then Disney also coughed up loads of cash in stock to the tune of $70 billion to acquire 20th Century Fox, which they have likewise squandered, dumping most of their projects and not promoting other valuable properties because they don't fit the Disney brand. And they can't rely on their parks and cruises anymore to make up the difference difference either. Iger spent his way through all their extra cash to do all these things, which coincides with Disney's failing stock as their properties just struggle. Now Disney isn't bankrupt and won't go under anytime soon, but after spending more than $84 billion for failure, the House of Mouse could have single-handedly funded Ukraine's war to liberate their territory from Russia, and probably have seen more success. And everything I've just listed in terms of their financial losses is actually being conservative and generous towards Mickey Mouse. But the real kicker is that Iger committed Disney to buying out the whole of Hulu so that way he can roll it into Disney Plus to solidify his legacy as a great entrepreneur and as a man who took Disney into the new age and made them billions of dollars. Yeah, right. And Comcast, the other owner of the streaming service, is demanding anywhere between $15 to $25 billion for the rest of Hulu. And that is money that, as of the beginning of summer 2023, Ricky Rat does not have to spend. At best, when you put everything all together, supposedly they only have $200 million liquid cash, meaning that's cash that they can actually rely on, which is cash that they need in order to support their parks, because those are also money-gobbling beasts. So, bringing it all together, a bad company vision for animation in general, a disrespect for the medium, bad leadership, and no cash to spare, Disney cannot make this crossover happen soon, if ever. And that really sucks to admit as someone who has been a big proponent of this crossover for 2 years now. Heck, we did a year of theories, observations, and stories to prove that a crossover between these shows and more was absolutely possible and even financially beneficial. But reality is what it is, and no amount of YouTube videos, fanciful wishing, or raids on Bob Iger's office are going to change that. However, bearing all of that in mind, I do have a strategy for Ricky Rat to consider that could make it worth his while to make this crossover: the connected cartoon universe. First of all, Bob Iger needs to back off. Let Matt gather together his A-team and set a reasonable budget for the project. He said he wanted to do a movie. Great, let the movie be the climax to a special crossover season. Already get into negotiations for limited releases across the globe, like when anime films are premiered outside of Japan, because you want those box office dollars. While Matt and his team work on putting together the show and the film, Disney needs to ramp up toy production, capitalize on the demand for merch, and make Gravity Falls, the Owl House, and Amphibia shirts, posters, toys, and other stuff available. Reap more cash and let fans purchase special packages of production goodies, like pictures, clips, and special items directly out of the production studio. Kind of like rewards from Kickstarter. Heck, if this alone generates enough money, it could lead to the production of a special, perhaps. Leave that option open. Now, quick note here, the merchandising lines are what make manga and anime so lucrative. The manga and anime shows alone don't make back their investments. Even then, toy lines can still fail. He-Man, a juggernaut of toy production, failed, and Studio Wit reported a loss of $200,000 in their last earnings report. So, this is no guarantee to make a ton of money. This is why budgets must be reasonable, and they really need to tap into the established base of fans and say, hey, look, we're making this stuff for you guys. You've wanted them? Well, now you can have them. Finally, properly advertise this endeavor and let word of mouth run rampant. Get the fans involved. Celebrate the release of the series leading up to the film finale. Let the movie have a good run in theaters before making it available on Disney+. Encourage fans to go to the movie premiere dressed up and to post pictures of their events on social media. And don't let those leaks happen again, Disney. Don't screw yourself over by letting some douchebag in the back room leak everything. And from there, just let things run their course. The honest truth is that this approach will not make Disney filthy rich. However, it does build bridges with the fans. It could make a modest earning to help fund future projects. It will get people buying Disney merchandise, which always leads to consumers buying more products, so more cash for Mickey. It also gives creatives like Matt, Dana, and Alex a chance to add to their stories in a fun and meaningful way, wrapping up loose threads and answering lingering questions. It's a win-win-win for everyone. This is what I would personally like to see, but I must admit again that it's highly unlikely to happen. So long as the House of Mouse holds to its current course, it ain't gonna happen. And as the purchase of Hulu is likely going to strain Disney to the max, rumors abound of what is in the company's future. But a good historian like myself knows that you can never accurately predict everything, and Disney has continuously made mind-bogglingly dumb decisions over and over and over again. So I'm not going to hold my breath. Not anymore. Which is why Camille's Harem is releasing a crossover fanfiction for Gravity Falls, The Owl House, and Amphibia. This is going to be a long-term project, but the opening chapters are already up and live for you to read. The link for the fanfic is in the description below. The story does build on a fanfiction I personally wrote years ago when it was made clear that there was never going to be a third season of Gravity Falls. It was a fun creative endeavor, and this story is a way for me to wrap up some of those loose threads from that particular story and have a lot of fun with what Alex, Matt, and Dana have left open in their own shows. We would love it if you would read this and tell us what you think about it. And if you like that, then you can check out our officially published books on Amazon. Links for them are also in the description. See what I'm doing there, Disney? I'm connecting things in a really good synergistic way. Anyway, there you have it. The final word on a connected cartoon universe. We've laid out the evidence. We have a year's worth of posts regarding theories, observations, and stories up on Twitter for you to check out under the hashtag Connected Cartoon Universe. And it's possible to make this happen from a narrative and world building perspective. But Disney may never let this happen because of the many problems the company is currently dealing with and their general attitude towards cartoons and their own stories. So if you're a supporter of this potential crossover, we encourage you to get creative and make it happen yourself. Plenty of artists and creatives have already undertaken to do so, and it's incredible what they're doing. There's honestly so much more that I could say on this front, especially where the ideas of modern myth are concerned, but I'll leave it there for now. Otherwise, this video will drag on for way too long. Thank you for watching this far, and thank you for all of your support. Please like and share this video out there, spread the news, and leave your own comments about your observations, thoughts, theories, and insights. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when. Oh, I know we'll meet again some sunny day.